Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday evening / afternoon. Here's our lesson for today. Hopefully you guys get this watched before class tomorrow so that you guys can work on the assignment in class. So here's what we're looking at today. We are going to be factoring polynomials that are in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So here's our essential question. How can you factor the trinomial into the product of two binomials? Okay, now as you guys are writing this down, let's think about this. You guys have just gone from this type of problem, let's use 12, and you foiled it together, right? You did this, you multiplied the firsts, outsides, insides, lasts, and you came up with, let's see, that'd be x squared plus 19x plus 84. Okay? Now, what's happening is you guys are going to be given this x squared plus 19x plus 84, and it is going to be your job to come up with these two binomials. So you'd have x and x. We have to figure out, how do I get 84 to turn into 19? Well, that's going to be 7 and 12. And then you're coming up with the two binomials. That is our main goal for today. Okay, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to get the essential question written down because we're going to go straight into our first core concept. So this is just going to kind of give you guys a breakdown. What we're going to start by looking at is when this c value is positive. So there's going to be a couple of different ways that these are going to happen. We're going to look at when c value is positive, then we're going to look at when the c value is negative. Those are going to be the two main things that we tackle today. So with the algebra, you've got x squared plus bx plus c. You're basically, like I said on the last slide, taking it, breaking it up into two different binomials. But what you want to happen is you want these two numbers right here, they're key pieces. You want them to add up to be that b value, but when you multiply them, you want them to be this c value. Okay? So super important concept that we need to be able to understand. If we look at these two examples down here, okay, there's really a couple of ways that this could happen. Notice how when that b and c are positive, both of your signs are going to be positive. But when b is negative and c is positive, your signs end up both being negative. Because if you think about it, when you FOIL this together, when you multiply -1 times -5, that turns positive. Okay? You guys, it's super easy to check these to make sure that you're doing them correct. You can factor them and then try foiling your factors back together just to check, just to make sure that you got the basic idea. Okay, so if you still need time to write this down, I can just erase all of this stuff. If you need time to write this down, pause it, and then I'm going to move on to the next example. So take your time if you need more time to write them down, but, oopsies. Okay, so we are going to start by factoring x squared plus 10x plus 16. Here is the basic template of how you guys are going to start by looking at these. Eventually, you're just going to be able to look and know, especially you guys, but to start off with, I strongly encourage you guys to find your factors of 16. Okay, so we've got 1 and 16, 2 and 8 is our other factor, and then our last one is going to be 4 and 4. Okay, so now from here, we've just figured out all these factors of 16. Which of these two pairs are going to, when we add them together, give us 10? If I add 1 and 16 together, that gives me 17. If I add 4 and 4 together, that gives me 8. But when I add 2 and 8 together, that gives me 10. Okay, so factoring, I'm going to start by setting up my two binomials. X squared, remember x squared is always, always, always x times x. Okay, if there's one thing that you learn from me, I want you to make sure that you understand that x squared is x times x, not x plus x. Okay, so I'm going to break this x squared down into x times x. And then we just figured out that when I add 2 and 8 together, that gives me 10. But when I multiply them, that gives me 16. So I'm going to say that that's going to be 2 and 8. And then the last thing I'm going to figure out, what are my signs going to be? So when I look at my two signs, whoops. Okay, when I look here and when I look here, I notice I have two positives. So that means that the two signs between these are both going to be positive. From here, you guys, I do encourage you, especially for the first couple of times, just so you get your bearings, try foiling them back together. X times x gives you x squared. X times 8 gives you 8x. 2 times x gives you 2x. 2 times 8 gives you 16. Add these two together, you've got x squared plus 10x plus 16. Okay? So really, when you plug stuff in, like for your homework, they're going to want this. But work backwards. See if you can come up with this right here. Okay? And maybe you have the gist of it. You can go ahead, try these next two on your own. Pause the video if you want to. I'm going to go ahead, since we're just really getting the basic idea of this stuff, I'm still going to talk my way through these just so that you guys, if you need a little bit of extra practice and a little bit of guidance. Okay, so looking at problem number 1, I want to find factors of 6 that when I multiply them, turn out to be 6. When I add them, turn out to be 7. Okay, so factors of 6. I've got 1 and 6, and I have 2 and 3. Okay, so when I take 1 plus 6, that gives me 7. And when I take 2 plus 3, that gives me 5. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm looking at this pair right here. I'm going to start just getting my binomial set up. So I'm going to break that down. Again, x squared turns into x times x. And then my two factors, I'm going to have 1 and 6. Again, these are coming from that right there. Let's take a look at these symbol or signs between them. Both of them are positive. So I end up with x plus 1 and x plus 6. Again, you guys, I just really, really encourage you, even right off to the side here, just check it. X times x gives you x squared. X times 6 gives you 6x. Ooh, that looks like a weird 6. Okay, that's a little better. And then I have 1x and then plus 6. So 6 plus 1 gives you 7x. Okay. So we checked it. We know we did it right. We're good to go there. All right, last one. Let's multiply. Let's figure out our factors of 8 that when I add them together are going to bring us 9. So let's see, our factors of 8. I've got 1 and 8. I've got 2 and 4. And that's it. So now, 2 plus 4, that only gives me 6. 1 plus 8, that's going to give me 9. So I want to look at that pair right there. So that's going to be x and 1, x and 8. I look at the signs. They're both positive. Take 10 seconds, honestly, guys. And this really gets you much better at foiling. Shoot. This gets you really, really good at foiling. You'll be able to start doing this really, really quick the more you do it. So x squared plus 8x plus 1x plus 8. So that's x squared plus 9x plus 8. All right. We came up with the exact same thing. So we are good to go. Okay. Now, you guys, these look really, really similar, and actually, in reality, they are really similar. But here's how we have to think about this. Notice how these signs have now changed. Okay, the last few examples we had positive, 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 positive. Now we've got negative, positive. Okay, so here's how that affects us. It's not a huge change, but when we find our factors, so that's got to be 1 and 12, let's see, 2 and 6, and then we've got 3 and 4. This time, these are all going to be negative. Because if you think about it, when you multiply two negatives together, that gives you that positive. But when you add them, that's going to give you this negative right here that we're looking for. Okay, so all of our factors actually turn out to be negative. Okay, so let's just quickly, that's negative 13. Okay, here we go, that's negative 8, and just for funsies, that's going to be negative 7. So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at these two factors. Okay, so I've got x and x. I look at these signs, they're opposite signs, which means that they both have to be negative in order for you to get that positive there. And then I'm going to put 2 and 6 in here. Take 10 seconds, you guys. Honestly, I cannot encourage this enough, because this is the biggest mistake that I see from kids, is they think that they've got the right pairing, but then they don't go back and check it. Let's see, x squared minus 6x minus 2x. I've got plus 12. Okay, so x squared minus 8x plus 12. Okay, boom. We did it right. We know that this factor works. On our next slide, you've got 3 examples. Again, I encourage you to try these on your own if you can. But I will, since this concept is fairly new, I will go through each of these. I'll just talk my way through them, but I'm going to do it rather quickly. Okay, so either stick with me, pause the video, do what you need to. Okay, so let's look. Our factors of 3 are both 1 and 3. Okay, well, that makes life easy. But these both have to be negative, because look at the signs. You've got a negative and you have a positive. So that's going to turn out to be, when I add them together, negative 4. Okay, so here I've got W and W. These are both negative, and then that's 1 and 4. Okay, let's just quickly FOIL them together. W minus 1, W minus 4, W squared minus 4W minus W plus 4. Okay, that turns into negative. Aw, man. Okay, hopefully you guys didn't make the same mistake that I did. That's not supposed to be 4. That's supposed to be 3. Oops. Sorry, guys. So let me just change all of these so that they are actually the right numbers. Okay. 3, 3, 3. Okay. Now I think we're on the same page. W squared minus, oh man, I missed another one. Again, that's what happens when you go too fast, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. And this is why we always check. First-hand experience. Okay. Now, this one's going to be a bigger one, this number 4, because 35 has a lot more factors to it. Wait a second, it doesn't. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. It doesn't. It only has 1 and 35, and it has 5 and 7. Those are the only factors. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so let's break this up. This is going to be n and n. Both of these, 5 and 7, need to be negative. Okay, right? Because if we add 5 and 7 together, that's going to give us negative 12. So I'm going to have n squared, I'm going to have negative 7n, I'm going to have negative 5n, and then positive 35. If I just add these together, n squared minus 12n plus 35. Okay, I got it. Alrighty, last one. Let's find our factors of 24. I got 1 and 24. I have 2 and 12. And then I have 3 and 8. And I think, oh no, wait, there's more, aren't there? 24 and 4. Okay, that's 4 and 6. But that should be it. Okay, so now we got a big decision. We know that these are all negative. When I add them together, okay, I get negative 25 here. Down on the bottom, I'm going to get negative 10. That's going to be negative 11. Okay, here we go. Negative 14 right here. These are the winners. Okay, so I've got x and x. I have minus 2, minus 12, and those are my factors. Okay, if I quickly FOIL those together, I've got x squared minus 12x minus 2x plus 24. That's going to give me negative 14x. All right, good. Plus 24. Okay. You guys, hopefully you're getting the basic idea of these right now. Just the basic concept. Because now we're going to, again, just kind of switch gears. So I know I'm not giving you a ton of examples, but I'm kind of hoping that through like changing things up just a little bit, we are still getting that practice and that basic concept. I'll go through some examples with you guys tomorrow though, if you need some extras. All right, so here's our next core concept. Now we're looking at when C is negative, okay? So I know that like it doesn't show it in here and I don't know why it doesn't. I don't get that, but here's just a really good example. Okay, still making these two middle terms, when you add them together, should come up to that B term, and when you multiply them together, should come up with that C term. Okay, but notice now how you have the same sign, you have two negatives, but your two signs and your factors are different. Okay, just pay attention to that. But you guys, if you break it down into the factors and you just really, really watch, you should be okay. So pause the video, take a second, get this stuff written down. Again, I'll just take away the ink on there so you can look at it nice and cleanly. But I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay. Now for this one, we are trying to get negative 21. So when we write out our factors, here's what I think you guys should do, and I think will help. Write down the same factor twice, have the first number be negative, and then on the second one, have the second number be negative. So we also have 3 and 7. That's the only other set of factors. Alternate those signs. Okay, so now when I add these two together, I come up with 20. When I add these two together, I come up with negative 20. If I take negative 3 plus 7, that's going to give me positive 4. And then if I take negative 7 plus 3, that's going to give me negative 4. Look at this middle term. Okay? Take a look at it. Which one of these four give you exactly what you're looking for? That's this third one down here. Okay, so x and x, I'm going to have -3 and I'm going to have +7, which you guys, that makes sense. If your middle term is positive, you want the bigger number to be positive. Okay, so again, if I just quickly FOIL this back together, okay, this is my solution right here. That's my answer. Then I've got 7x, I've got -3x, and I've got -21. I combine these, +7, -3. That's going to be +4. I guess I probably shouldn't circle that, but general idea, right? Okay, really, really pay attention to the signs, you guys. All right, 6, 7, and 8. We'll do these. I've got one word problem to do with you guys, and then I'll be done. So hopefully cutting this video short in just a couple minutes. I know this is probably one of my longer videos, so I apologize, but we'll get through it. We're almost done. Okay, factors of 15. Ready, set, go. 1, 15. Remember, like I said, let's list it twice because we have a negative here. Okay, so negative, negative. Let's see, 2 doesn't go into it, but 3 does. Wait, not 3 and 7. That should be 3 and 5. 3 and 5. Let's make those just like that. And I think we're good here. Okay, look here. We need a +2. So I'm going to want my bigger number to be positive, which means that it's either got to be this one right here, or it's got to be this one right here, because those are my two bigger numbers, and I want them to be positive. Okay, when I find the sum, this one, the 3 and the 5, that's going to give me 2. So there's x, there's x. I've got -3, I've got +5. So if I just check, I've got x squared plus 5x minus 3x minus 15. I'm good to go. That's going to give me 2x. Right. We're on the right track. You guys, if you're feeling comfortable, pause the video. Try them on your own. That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to get everything else written up here for you. Alrighty, I'm back. Okay, so I gave you 2 examples that have actually more factors. So hopefully you were able to figure them both out. And hopefully you guys did not get stuck on number 7, because you have 2 and 15 and 3 and 10. Okay, but remember, if you have -3 and +10, that's going to give you +7. Or +3 and -10, that's going to give you a -7. Okay, so please, please, I hope you guys didn't get that one mixed up. But if you did, that's okay. That's totally okay if you got it wrong. Just make sure, again, if you double check, if you do that foiling back together, you will notice that that's not going to work. Okay, then the last one. The last one definitely had a lot more factors. There were 4 of them. But again, you needed to look at the signs. You needed your bigger number to be 7, and you knew that you wanted the 2 numbers to be fairly close to each other because you came up with just a -1. All right. So if you have questions tomorrow, you guys, please, please, please let me know. I'm more than happy to go through some of this with you. But I'm going to kind of try and speed it up just a little bit because I know my video is getting a little long. And so I apologize for that. But we are looking at a rectangular pumpkin patch. You know what? I'm going to write in orange just for this specific problem because of pumpkins. Right there. We're looking at a pumpkin patch in the northeast corner of a square plot of land. The area of the pumpkin patch is 600 square feet, or excuse me, square meters. What is the area of the square plot of land? So basically, you guys, they want you to find the area of the entire thing. So this whole big guy right here. Okay? Now, if we think about it, area is just length times width. Okay? And if we think about it even more, square plot of land, length times width, that's just side times side. Or you might have also seen it as side squared. Okay? So all of these formulas represent area. Okay, now here's what we want to do. Here's a piece of information that we know that we're told in the problem. That the total area is 600 meters squared. Okay, now let's look at these two pieces specifically. Okay, hopefully it's no surprise that we're going to set up some binomials here, because that's the whole point of our entire lesson. You guys, we know that one entire side is S units long. Okay, so I'm going to start with that, but hopefully get that out of there. Okay, is it back to orange? Okay, good. Both of those sides are S. Okay, now this side right here is S units long, but it's S units minus 30. Okay, so the entire thing is S, and then we know that this distance right here that doesn't include the pumpkin patch is 30, so we got to take that 30 away. Same thing with the other side. S units minus 40. Okay, so now that we've got this set up, that's step number one. Step number two, we can't just take S minus 30, set it equal to 600, and S minus 40, set it equal to 600. Remember, we can only do that when it equals 0. That's the zero product property. Okay, so here's what we have to start by doing. We have to FOIL all of this stuff together, or if you're a box method person, we got to box all this stuff together. So we have to come up with S squared, so there's our first outsides. I've got negative 40s. I don't like that they use the variable s, but it's not my problem, so I guess I can't make the rules. So then that's going to be negative 30s. And then, okay, so I see that there's two negatives. When I multiply those together, that's going to give me a positive, and that should be 1200. Nope. That's different. Okay. I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to do s squared minus 70s plus 1200 equals 600. Now we're going to basically try and use the zero product property. But in order for that to happen, we have to get 0 on that right-hand side. Okay, so that's going to turn into s squared minus 70s plus 600. Now, you guys, we're into something that we did on the last unit. From here, well, kind of. We're incorporating this unit for today and the zero product property. We're putting both of those concepts into play here. So I have to figure out, what are my factors of 600 that'll give me 70? Okay, somehow I have to come up with 600 when you multiply them together and 70 when you add them together. Okay, now notice the symbols right there. That's negative, which means that you are going to want both of your factors to be negative. So if I just kind of start going through the list, I've got 1 and 600. That's going to be negative. I've got 2 and 300. 3 and 200. 4. I promise you guys this is going to end soon. We're almost there. I've got 5 and 120, and that's got to be -2, 6 and 100. Okay, look, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Let's see, 7 doesn't work, but 8 does. So 8 and 75. Ooh, here we go. 9 doesn't work, but 10 sure as heck does. And looky there. I think I can stop here, you guys, because when I add these together, that's going to give me 70. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so again, it's a longer list, but I came up with it. We got it. Okay, let's take that zero product property, s minus 10, let's set that equal to 0. S minus 60, we're going to set that equal to 0, and we're just going to solve for s. So I'm going to have 10 and 60. Okay, now you guys, the two solutions we got were 10 and 60. Let's look back at this picture. Is 10 going to work for this or this? I mean, think about it. You've got side lengths of 40 and 30. Is 10 going to work for S? Hopefully you guys are all shouting at me right now and saying, no, Mrs. K, it's not. You're 100% correct. 10 isn't going to work. It just doesn't make sense for one of those sides to be 10 meters. So we come up with that one S, that one side length, to be 60. Okay, I am done. I'm sorry that this video is a little bit longer than normal, but hopefully you guys were able to power through it. So I'm going to go ahead, post this. Come to me with any questions that you've got tomorrow. Tomorrow will be just another one of those work days like we talked about before. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.